Oh, man, let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Main thing I want to discuss today is that. Question, are the Memphis Grizzlies the new villains of the NBA? Not necessarily to fans, but to the rest of the league. Like, are they public enemy number one? Like, let's squash them. Let's humble them. They're too young, too loud, too ostentatious, too brash, too bold, too fucking arrogant. Like, why are they winning so much? Every team feels like they want to humble the Grizzlies. It's what they feel like they all want to do. But I promise you, we as NBA fans should all want to see the Grizzlies succeed. Like, this is what? The American dream. Like, they didn't buy anything. They didn't find some random wash star to come into Memphis and pretend he wants to be there and then get free agents to come there more. No. This is all built organically, and they all love Memphis, and they all love each other. They're just pissing off the establishment. How could you not love that? Thumbing their noses at the man, which is basically the Warriors of the world. Like a dynasty, they're like, we do not care about you. We are not afraid of you. A team that trash-talked LeBron James? You got role players being like, sit your ass down, LeBron, it's our time now. I mean, this is a team where Morant posted a video of that iconic moment that Jordan made long time ago where he was like, yo, it's easy to talk shit when you're up 30. Why don't you talk shit when it's 0-0? Why don't you talk shit when you're down 20? How about that? Like, that's the vibe that the Grizzlies are on. So this Grizzlies team, as we know, if you're listening and watching basketball or not living under a rock, Grizzlies lose game 1 in a heartbreaker. Got buried in the national press immediately. And all of a sudden, somehow, the Warriors, who, let's be honest, are the darlings of the NBA for a variety of reasons, some valid, some not valid, we're already talking about that the Grizzlies were going to get swept. Oh, like, can the Grizzlies, next up on Undisputed, can the Grizzlies find their way to win one game? What? Yeah, they were. I remember. If you don't remember, I remember. Pepperidge Farms remembers. So, quick little interesting nuggets that happened in Game 2 besides the fact that the Grizzlies ended up winning at home. And it would have been dastardly if they would have gone down 0-2 and then head back to San Francisco. I agree. First 3 minutes of Game 2, we got our second flagrant 2 ejection of the series. Dillon Brooks, Memphis's Draymond Green both got the hook. Draymond in Game 1, Dillon Brooks in Game 2. Both of them physical with the reputation that precedes them. Some would say cheap, some would say dirty. So anyway, Dillon Brooks, Gary Payton II going up for a layup, and he hits him across his head. Gary Payton falls to the ground, immediately shatters his elbow. Obviously did not return to the game. He's not coming back for the rest of the season, we found out. 4 months probably on the sidelines. Independently of the game, beyond the game, let me just say, because outside of the news, this shit's sad. Like, this is very sad. Gary Payton, like Steve Kerr, so I think the only thing that he said that was right in that press conference was that this guy's been just trying to find a home for like 6 years. He hasn't stuck. He's been in and out of the G League. He's finally found his role, his place. He's a legit player that I think could get $10 million a year because of what he does. He's that Jose Alvarado type. He can steal the ball. He can go up for a dunk athletically in transition. He can pass really well. He's just a threat in a lot of different ways. And the Warriors' number one jaw stopper. So now that he's not there, people are wondering, well, was it intentional? Is Dillon Brooks trying to take Gary Payton out of the game because they're so afraid that he's going to stop Morant from doing Morant things? So that was a problem. This is a thing. Dillon Brooks gets the early quick hook. Memphis still ends up getting the win. Secondly, that set off Steve Kerr. Set off Draymond Green, pretty much the rest of the Warriors team, where they're telling Dillon Brooks, hit the road, Jack, don't you come back no more. Saying, get the fuck out of here when he's leaving. Because he has to obviously go to the locker room, can't even be on the sidelines. And they were even more angry after the game to the point where they're making wild accusations about what Dillon Brooks was doing, what this type of behavior should end up getting in terms of consequences. Lot to unpack. One, probably pissed because Draymond Green got ejected for less and has been ejected many times for less. That plays into it. Also, like I said, they're scrambling now without Payton. Thirdly, though, which I don't think I wrote down, the Warriors have had their own fair share of injuries that they've caused in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard being the most major one. That Zaza Pachulia that ended up turning into a whole new foul call about landing space. So we'll get into the post-game quotes a bit after I talk about what came next. Then, next, Draymond Green gets poked in the eye, bleeding down his face so badly he had to leave the game temporarily. Go back to the locker room, get himself. I don't even know how you stitch up an eye, so that's another thing. Memphis fans who are out of their fucking minds, obviously, because they're a part of the villainy that is now the Grizzlies, they're cheering for Draymond Green to be bleeding out of his face like it's the Roman Coliseum. I mean, I don't know. They've never won anything before. It's a brand new team. Like, just let them have it a little bit, but still, crazy. Then Draymond Green flips him off, does the Kyrie, the double flip off. Then they start cheering for the double flip off because they know he's about to get fined $50K. Wild. So, all of this drama is happening whilst John Morant is having a historic night to the tune of almost a 50 nugget. On another planet, had 15 final points in the fourth in Game 2. Also, in Game 6 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he had 13 final points, just consecutive, no one else, just Ja. Just Ja turning into Michael Jordan in the final minutes of a game. No one else. Just me one-on-one, try to stop me. And everyone knows what Ja's going to do. I'm taking it to the rack. If you give me space, I'm shooting three. Every time. Don't even say, though, like, I know there's a lot of things on Twitter about whether he carried in one of those plays or not. He did. I mean, there's a lot of things about the carry now. So just stop. But I think that's solidifying as we back up and try to make sense of this about what Ja is becoming in front of our eyes. Ja obviously shouldn't have won most improved player. He was very, very good last year. The step that he took, the leap that he took, I don't think warrants. It was a very small leap. What we're seeing right now from Ja is that he's an MVP level player. He's a top 5 player. And not only is he a top 5 player and one of the best in the league, I think John Morant has a real shot and has showed in moments where the times are bright that he can be the face of the league. Not the face of the league, by the way, that the NBA particularly would want. He's got the grill, he's got a blue dread and a red one, and he's taking shots of tequila on Instagram Live on his G6 on the way to the All-Star game, being like, listen, I'm about to get fucked up. All of that in your face. He's doing the gritty. Every single game they win. He's shit-talking Steph Curry, being like, this is about to be really fun. He's stomping on the middle of your court, on your logo. Same things that got Kyrie villainized. And he's not baby-faced like Steph Curry. Tatted. So, and yet, there he stands. He's the one I think we all think about being the most electric person to watch in the NBA. If you could watch to yourself, think about this. If you could just watch one guy play basketball on any given night, who would it be? It's Ja on a Tuesday in February. It's Ja on a Saturday night in March. It's Ja every single time. He's must-see TV in regular moments. When the moments are bright, he's almost blindingly good. He's almost a star so bright we can't even directly look at him. And if you are one of the sad souls that want to tell John Morant to be quiet, or that he needs to be humbled, or that he should just be humble, or less loud with his play, or talk shit less, or figure out a way to just be more like Steph Curry, you're missing the fucking point. Also, by the way, check out Ja Morant's post-game presser. He couldn't even see when he was having those 15 last points.
You scored the last 15 points. Were you seeing okay as you were seeing those last 15 points?
Honestly, no. But
Would you aim in the middle, or would you? How'd you?
I got another good eye over here. 20/20 vision right here.
I love John Morant so much. Everyone else should. He scored 47 points, including the final 15, and he could barely see. Moving forward, after the game, the anger built up on the Warriors bench over Payton's fractured elbow, and it's spilled over. Draymond went off on Warriors fans, not only throwing up multiple birds, but he also said, listen, it felt good to flip these guys off, and I would do it again.
You're going to boo somebody who get elbowed in the eye and face running on blood, you should get flipped off. So I'll take the fine. I'll go do an appearance and make up the money. But it felt really good to flip them off. You're going to boo someone that get elbowed in the eye and blood running down your face? I could have had a concussion or anything. So if they're gonna be that nasty, I can be nasty too.
Woo! Let me get that, Rich. Goodness gracious. But it was Steve Kerr, though, who I think really went viral, changing the conversation. He had some very terse words about Dillon Brooks and how he broke the NBA code by putting Gary Payton's life in danger.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it was dirty. And, playoff basketball it's supposed to be physical. Everybody's going to compete. Everybody's going to fight for everything. But there's a code in this league. There's a code that players follow where you never put a guy's season/career in jeopardy by taking somebody out in midair and clubbing him across the head and ultimately fracturing Gary's elbow. This is a guy who's been toiling the last 6 years trying to make it in this league. Finally found a home, just playing his butt off this year. In the playoffs, this should be the time of his life. And guy comes in, whacks him across the head in midair. He broke the code. Dillon Brooks broke the code.
I don't see it that way. Me, personally, I don't see it that way. A lot of people thought this was a dirty play. I watched this clip 50, 60 times in a row. It's only 10 seconds, so don't act like I was breaking down extensive film, but I didn't see the intent to hit the head. I don't think it was dirty. I don't think he went out and decided to take Gary Payton out. Brooks, I think, is more valuable to the Grizzlies than Gary Payton is to the Warriors. Did not look intentional to me at all. It looked like he was intending to hit his arm, try to hit the ball, and stop him from going up and stop him from at least being able to shoot the shot. No intent to harm him at all. I don't think, like I said just a second ago, I don't think he was trying to hit his head. He kind of looked like his head just kind of got in the way of the swipe to the arm and to the ball. I don't think for sure he was trying to fracture his elbow or take him out for the rest of the series. And to me, if Payton pops back up, right away, I don't even think it's a flagrant 2. I think it's a flagrant 1 maximum. As an aside, today on First Take, pivot, Draymond became news. Because Draymond, flipping off the fans, maybe isn't seen as comporting himself in the word comporting himself. It is not seen as, I think they're trying to make kind of Draymond out to be the villain. And Mad Dog Russo, a famous radio personality, said fans are tired of Draymond Green's antics. And they all want to say, enough already. And J.J. Redick, probably the treasurer of the NBA now, decided to clap back in a way that only a former player can, and explained it in a way that I felt needed to be brought to the pod because it explains how I feel about Draymond and how guys like Chris Russo are harmful to the culture, so we say.
The same sort of connotations that the shut up and dribble crowd has towards athletes, and I have a real problem with that. And specifically with Draymond, the idea that America is tired of him. You do realize the guy has a very, very popular podcast that he hosts where he talks himself for a majority of the episode, and people listen to that. He signed a talent deal with Turner because people want to hear what Draymond has to say.
It's true.
The reason they want to hear what Draymond has to say is because just like in this press conference, he is real, authentic, and unfiltered. And as a player, he is real, authentic, and unfiltered. The edge that he carries himself with, he's talked about this since game one. Klay Thompson has talked about this since game one. It's what makes him great. It's what makes him a future Hall of Famer. It's the reason he is who he is. It's just like saying, hey, John Morant, stop dancing when your teammate's making a three. The reason John Morant is great is because he plays with joy and fun and a carefree attitude and a fearlessness. You can't take away what makes a player great. So there's no shut up and play.
He is so polarizing. I think that for all the fans that you think listen to the podcast and watch him, I can give you 50 million fans who would tell you the same thing enough already. So he is a polarizing athlete. Sure, there are certain younger fans especially that like to hear him play. I'll give you a large segment of older fans who have followed the NBA for 60 years, this is not a political scenario or a race situation, who have followed Wilt and grew up as a Knicks fan, who loved Clyde and loved Reed and loved the Pearl.
I disagree with you on that. I'm not saying it's a race situation. I'm saying that the fans you're talking about, they talk about athletes that way, like you just talked about an athlete.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a
the people on Fox News talk about athletes that way.
Well,
That's
Fox News
my issue. I don't actually care about the fans that watch Bob Cousy play or watch Wilt play. I don't care. I appreciate that they've been NBA fans that long, but I don't appreciate the undertone.
I don't appreciate the undertone. Listen, I don't know that there's much more to say than that. Zip up the body. Still warm. I think he's coming back Wednesday to get bodied yet again by J.J. Redick. My Lord, is that true? Yes, all of this, every day, twice on Sundays. Stop telling athletes how they should act. Every single time. Stop it. Unless they're doing something that's against the law or harming someone, then how about you just take a fucking seat and watch them play?